Welcome to the Master Guide to Transcendence in Lost Ark. The old system required a good understanding of how each card worked, having the calculator and luck. And even if you had all of these on your side, it still took 5+ hours to complete a character. So with the recent update, what will you need to do them? Gold. You only need gold and the good old Lost Ark luck. Let me explain. Transcendence is a system where successfully hitting a level of transcendence on a piece of gear nets you stats back. With enough flowers, you hit slot thresholds on that specific gear piece, which will net you a bigger overall buff back. Each piece of armor has its own transcendence line, as well as your weapon. You can see these thresholds by hovering over that piece of gear. For all transcendence, the thresholds are 5, 10, 15, and 20. To hit the biggest slot threshold for the maximum amount of threshold power increases, which is what you're going for, you'll be aiming for 20 total flowers. This requires hitting a perfect score on 6 of the 7 possible boards and just having 2 flowers on one of them. The max flowers obtained is 3 and the minimum is none gained. You can hit 21 total flowers for a small damage increase, but your goal is 20 across the board on your gear, as there's 7 levels per piece of gear with 3 flowers attached to each level. Now, to get flowers, you need to make it to the end of the board by the end of the allotted turns. Once successfully making it to the end, regardless of if it's 1 or 3 flowers, you can move to the next level. Without gaining any flowers, you cannot continue. To start, you will need a Darkfire stockpile, which is the progression material gained from Thamine. This is for each initial unlock of that level. Reattempts at the same level cost a lump sum of gold and soundstones. Soundstones can be attained by the vendor right beside the Transcendence vendor, which can both be located via the map UI search function. The current crafting of soundstone costs either magical spring water and a chaos stone, which can also be obtained via the same raid. There's a failure material called soundstone fragments, which you can obtain via despair failing. You can also use this to craft, and if really need be, you can buy it from the auction house, but I wouldn't recommend that. The other crafts cost Darkfire and Behemoth scales, but unless you've been doing these for months and have a copious amount of each, I would stick to the first 2 options. Now, Behemoth scales, as just mentioned, like Darkfire, are meant for the initial lock of the level of Transcendence on specifically a weapon. The first 3 levels of armor Transcendence cost 15 Darkfires each, then the last 4 cost 20 each, for a total of 125 per piece of armor to fully unlock. Weapon cost varies more as it increases level, but to fully unlock, you'll need 340 total scales. Now to look at the game of Transcendence. You have an option of 4 rolls on these cards, and the number is correlated to the amount your orb moves. Very similar to what you would expect in something like a Mario Party game. The 1 space move is highly weighted in the odds. The higher the number, the lower the chance of rolling it. All these odds are displayed above the cards. To spice it up, also like Mario Party, there are special tiles that if you land on will give you special bonuses that I will go over in the next section. As you get further into the higher levels on that gear, the more daunting the boards become in length, but also the amount of turns given to hit these flowers also increases. In this system, it is a small gold cost per roll and a large gold cost to reset the board and try again. This is why having these Transcendence tickets are super valuable, as they defer a lot of the big costs of Transcendence. For those curious, a movement on the board on armor is 110 gold and 190 gold for a weapon. To re-access the armor or to restore it and retry on a new board, this costs 740 gold, while it costs 2200 on a weapon. Deferring cost on weapon via tickets is very nice, so look for methods like Twitch drops or in-game rewards to get them whenever possible. Let's take a look at what each of these special nodes means and how pity works on this. Enhancement is a stackable buff for this Transcendence run, adding +1 to the number rolled. This can be stacked until completed or reset, with more enhancement buffs if you land on them. Awakening adds an x3 multiplier to the next roll. It wears off after that. This works with the enhancement buff if you hit it prior. Development immediately moves 4 spaces cost free. Replicate moves the exact same space as the previous roll, so an immediate x2 multiplier once you land on it, cost free. Purification moves 1 additional spot immediately, cost free. Elzoin's Grace or Pity occurs in Transcendence in stages, with the max level now of 8. After a certain amount of failures or resets, the first level of Grace enables. This puts a slight bit of higher chances on hitting the higher numerical rolls progressively as you go up the Grace tiers. At max Grace, you basically have infinite rolls and a guarantee of 3 flowers. I don't have footage of this, as this is just absurdly unlucky. As mentioned, the previous rendition of Transcendence required an AI calculator, a baseline idea of what each card did for advanced techniques, a lot of gold, and sheer luck. This revised method has only 2 options for you to do. 1. Tap it as if it's a slot machine, since there's no options to even choose. Tap, tap, tap until you either make it or fail getting the 3 flowers. Turn the show animation slider off for even faster times. The other option is to reset midway through. A big chunk of the gold cost is restoring the board after resetting a failed run, but each roll costs a smaller amount of gold. If you have a horrendous luck at the first half, it is a question for your own judgment if you think your luck will turn around based on what is in front of you, whether that be pure high rolls on luck or luck with magical spots to multiply you to the end. This is the only skill required now, judgment. If you don't even want to think even remotely, pretend you're an old woman with a crippling nicotine addiction in Vegas and tap your slot machine. This is the first time we are somewhat getting a new variation of a vertical progression power system at the same time as the native country of the game, so I'm attempting to get this out fairly quick. If you're looking for a new player guides, check out my playlist specifically meant for you, or check out my most recent plea video to Amazon in an attempt to get their attention about the glaring issues present in the Makoko Bootcamp event. Also, check out my Yap channel, linked in the description. I will only post low quality yaps there about Lost Ark since YouTube is weird and I want to test out how an only Lost Ark channel works on the algorithm. I'll see you in the next one.